Meanwhile, though, authorities in Spain say they're extending the manhunt for the 22-year-old main suspect in the Barcelona attacks to across Europe, and that comes amid concerns that he may have crossed the border into France. Services were held over the weekend for Julian Cadman and the 13 others who lost their lives in the two successive attacks in Catalonia. A 7-year-old boy is among the dead. He and his mother were both hit by the van that mowed down people along Barcelona's central boulevard, Las Alhambras. His mother remains in serious but stable condition in a Barcelona hospital. The two attacks in Barcelona and the resort town of Cambril injured 126 people from 34 different countries. Let's get you more now on that story. CGTN's Dan Williams has been following the story closely for us. He's joining me live from Barcelona. Dan, what's the latest on the manhunt?
Well, the latest is, as you say, very much focused now on locating Younes Abu Yaqub, who has been now mentioned, and it's now been confirmed that he was the attacker that carried out the attack along Las Ramblas, which is just beyond my left shoulder here. There had been some confusion around that, but now police have confirmed he was indeed the attacker. In fact, the local newspaper here, El País, has published photographs of what they say was Younes leaving the scene, walking through the market calmly in the moments after following the attack. And police, as I say, will be pouring through the CCTV footage, trying to get a bit of picture as to exactly his movements in the aftermath of this attack. Certainly here in Barcelona and around Catalonia, there will also be focus still on the house in Alcanar, where there was an explosion there on Wednesday night. Police have confirmed that they believe that the attackers planned a much larger scale attack using gas canisters for explosives. That was, though, managed to be thwarted. But the key focus, as I say, remains locating Younes Abu Yaqub, who could well have escaped across the border. Continuing the manhunt for the suspected driver of the Barcelona attack. Police have set up scores of roadblocks across the region. Their main focus is on Younes Abu Yaqub, a 22-year-old Moroccan suspected of carrying out the attack in Barcelona that killed 13 people. Catalonia officials say they have neutralized the terror threat, but there is a fear Abu Yaqub may have escaped from Spain.
I'm not saying we have any specific information, but clearly it's a possibility. He could have crossed the border by some means.
Police also confirm that more than 120 gas canisters have been found at this house in Alcanar. 2 people died and another was seriously injured following an explosion here on Wednesday night. Authorities believe the terrorists had initially planned a much bigger attack using explosives. The twin attacks killed 14 people. A special service was held at Barcelona's iconic basilica, Sagrada Familia. Spain's King Felipe VI, as well as the Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy, were among those that attended, along with the families of the victims. Cardinal Juan José Omella used the occasion to call for peace and unity.
Estoy cerca de ustedes.
I'm close to all of you in this painful moment. I'm really there with you. May God bless you.
For those that attended the service, a mixture of feelings.
We are nervous, it's obvious. It's a human being. We are afraid. Yes, it's that, but it's true. But we need to change our feelings now and begin to start again, and we have to be really strong.
Signs of unity abound. Portugal's President Marcelo Rebelo and Prime Minister Antonio Costa had coffee at a cafe in Las Ramblas. They hoped the gesture would send a message of unity to the terrorists. While at Camp Nou, fans of both Barcelona and Real Betis joined together in a show of solidarity ahead of their La Liga match. It's hoped that a reinforced police presence will help give fans attending this football match a greater sense of security. local authorities are determined that events such as this one continue as normal. That although Barcelona is hurting, it is by no means broken. Dan Williams, CGTN, Barcelona.
Well, Dan, as you mentioned there, authorities say they have neutralized the terror attacks. But as we've seen from your report, this is a city indeed, a country in mourning. What more can you tell us about that?
Yes, as you saw there, this is indeed a city very much in mourning, very much reflecting, trying to process what exactly has happened this last week. We saw very emotional scenes at the Sagrada Familia, and also before each of the football matches in La Liga there was a minute's silence, and we saw certainly the raw emotion amongst the Barcelona players during that time, as well as the fans, of course, in the Camp Nou as well. It's really, though, to get a grand scale, an idea, a better idea as to just how devastating the attack was, is if when you walk along Les Ramblas you see these little plots of flowers and candles all along this wide stretch of this pedestrian area, and it realized then just the devastation really that was caused by this van attack. Each plot, of course, marking where people were killed as they were out just enjoying an afternoon of shopping and leisure activities on Les Ramblas. And certainly in the longer term there is a fear in Barcelona and in Spain as to whether the famed tourism industry here could be impacted upon, and whether, as we saw in France and in Paris following the attacks there, that people, tourists, then stayed away from the city. Whether that happens here, that really would be devastating, a further impact on locals here. But of course that's all racing on at the moment. This really is a city trying to, as I say, process the events that have happened and grieve for those friends, families that have lost loved ones or have been impacted by the many that remain in hospital injured.
Well, Dan, and what about justice efforts here? How closely is Spain currently working with Moroccan authorities with regard to this attack?
Well, certainly Spain and Morocco have enjoyed a very close relationship in terms of intelligence sharing and counter-terrorism over the years. Since 2004, Spain has arrested more than 700 suspected jihadists, and a lot of those arrests have come from tip-offs and from working very closely with the Moroccan authorities. And it's being held up as being one of the better cross-border exchanges of information and cooperation that there has been. However, there will be questions now as to what exactly failed in terms of this particular attack, considering most of the attackers are of Moroccan origin, and given that there is an imam who from the town of Ripoll, who it appears, according to police sources, was very much behind the radicalization of the attackers in the first place. So there will be questions, there'll be a lot of pressure that will of course be going on behind closed doors as to what exactly was missed in the build-up to this particular attack. But of course, up until this point, as I say, it has been a very close relationship, and certainly there will be, further questions and pressure on that, though, as the investigation continues.
All right, Dan Williams, following the developments for us there from Barcelona.